Hello everyone, it's Oliver Harper here, and I'm back with author Mark O'Connell to discuss E.T., the 1982 monster hit that dominated the box office and destroyed everything else around it.
Yes. This is why no one knows about Secret of NIMH.
If you wish to sync the commentary with your own copy of E.T., put the timestamp to 0 and press play now. Now this is the original version. This is not the doctored walkie-talkies.
No walkie-talkies or alien in bath blowing bubbles.
Oh, God. Yeah.
There was a few, there was unnecessary tweaks to that. I think Spielberg sort of knew it at the time, but agreed to it for sort of anniversary reasons. And it opens just like Close Encounters. Already, there's that Penderecki discordant single chords. Don't know quite what it is.
And it's I think the font seems very... doesn't seem like it would fit E.T. It feels like a Pretty in Pink.
The font is called Souvenir. And I'm not lying, it is called Souvenir font. Yes, I know, it's like that mauve italic. What is it?
Yeah.
You know, these are not the opening titles of a film that came after Jaws and Close Encounters.
No. It's because I've not seen this film for a very long time, and I had this kind of weird love-hate relationship with it because I don't know why. Over the last few years, all I remember of the film was kind of like the key moments, because I've seen so many of those top 100 movies on Channel 4.
Yeah.
And it will have like the bike sequence where they're all flying, and obviously that's the most iconic moment in the film. It's used as the Amblin logo. And Drew Barrymore being introduced to E.T. and everything else I kind of forgot about. And watching it again recently, the whole intro, I just thought, oh my God, this all kind of happened in the movie. And I always kind of thought it starts with Elliot just finding E.T. in the garden, which kind of does happen. But just before that, you've got E.T. running away from these kind of the guys with the keys, on his waist.
Well, literally the character's called Keys.
Yeah. And as a kid, I was obsessed with it because every time I was ill, I had a recording of E.T. and Octopussy on one tape. So I just sat there and watched
that's interesting, bedfellows. Wow,
I know, it's so bizarre. But
Maud Adams and Drew Barrymore's double bill,
Yeah. So I just sat there watching it like on a loop, as it were. It's bizarre. Yeah.
And this is you've got these botanists, these sort of alien botanists. Collecting soil and plant samples. We don't quite know that. And I remember there was a tie-in novel at the time and a sequel novel that perhaps underpin that more, but we weren't quite sure.
Novel.
There was a spin-off. Wasn't maybe a sequel novel, but it was like a spin-off, E.T. and the World of Plants, or something funny like that. And they were tapping into the extraterrestrials' botany pursuits.
Oh right.
Yeah, I think it was. I can see the cover of it. It came out at the same time.
Did you go on the E.T. ride? Is it
No. I always say I'd rather go to a film studio than a film studio ride.
Right.
So that's why you should always go to Paramount Studios, not Universal, because you actually see the studio as it is. But no, I've never done a.
Yeah, my friend Brad.
A stuntman set on fire.
My friend Brad went through this E.T. ride, and it was kind of like, I think you're on his alien planet. I think it is. Yeah, and it's walking through, and you've got all these weird plants and stuff around you, and.
So Richard Dreyfuss is just going to walk past going, hello? Yeah, Roy Neary's sort of here.
What are these things? Is this E.T.'s leavings or something?
Alien.
I don't know.
They're alien things.
And it's a change of camera lenses for Spielberg, shooting 185. He's always been doing these kind of last few movies, big 1941, Close Encounters, Raiders, Jaws, CinemaScope, Sugarland Express. Is that scope?
Oh, I'm not a scope man. It's quite wide.
It must be then.
Yeah, it's quite a widescreen
so
movie.
I presume the change of sort of format is to sort of make it more of a sort of intimate, personal piece. And so maybe to sort of keep it. I mean, it's all everything's set within a house as well, and
to keep it, to keep that sort of 4x3 world, and that was the images we all saw, the TV screens. We didn't have widescreen TVs, so possibly that's what he's doing. I always found, I still do actually, those sort of church organs of Williams. It's really sinister. It's foreboding, and that cathedral of timber and forestry. I spent part of a couple of summers ago in Guerneville, Russian River, which is sort of north of San Francisco. And at night, there was a full moon, and with all the redwoods, it was the beginning of what they call the redwoods. And it was so uncanny to see those massive trees sort of stood alone. And it's utterly like being in a Spielberg nighttime scene. There's this great miniature model shot of the town below here.
I always E.T., the noises he makes, I always just familiar with him going when he when he's scared. But when he's kind of, looking around or sniffing for things, he's he purrs as well later on.
Yeah, I mean, they used
effects.
real sound effects of lions and tigers. And there was this great actress, Mercedes Mccambridge, I think that was her name, and she was this 40s, 50s
voice
film noir kooky actress who ended up smoking a lot of cigarettes a day, and she had this amazing husky voice. So I think they used her voice for the dying and the panicky sort of rasping voice sounds. This piece of Coyote, that Jaws motif we're not going to show, and the whole film is shot at waist height. It's the height of children. It's the height of childhood.
Yes.
And I always think, we'll get on to it. Peter Coyote always feels like he's Elliot in the future. And he's
yes.
Or something. I always feel he's...
I always felt that.
Or, when I've done...
He wants exactly the same thing Elliot wants, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he even says E.T. came to me too.
Yeah.
He came to me, and I don't know if that's like he's come from, to see me as well, loosely and sort of metaphorically.
E.T. comes back now and again just to break people's hearts and leaves.
Yes. He's
He's
pretty much like Grinder in that respect.
There's a bit where E.T.'s running away in a minute, but it's clearly just like on this like track.
You only know that because there's a documentary where it is literally on a gimbal pole. Yeah. Because that was one of the bits they tried to give him some CGI movement, and oddly the analog physical way of doing it worked
like
better. He does
know.
look like he's sort of on one of those
like
radio flyer carts.
Yeah.
Not crotch shots of Coyote here. I've not noticed that as an adult. I just saw the keys as a kid, but now I'm like, wow, we're just going to keep showing his crotch. And that whole that Spielberg motif of lights and torches, and I remember having a torch as a kid because we lived in a slightly rural setting and we had fields and it was all quite dark at night. And we'd have loads of torches in the house, and I always just remember thinking of E.T. or lightsabers. It just takes me back to that era.
Yeah,
and you can do that effect yourself.
Of course.
When you're out in the garden.
Oh, for me as a kid, having a torch was it Jamie and his magic torch?
Yeah.
He goes to that other world. There's always upsetting that bit where E.T. just kind of cries out when it leaves him, because he seems very kind of innocent and weak and very he's obviously left alone, doesn't know what to do. But I think as he progresses and starts speaking English, he shows how intelligent he is.
Yeah, he's
how smart he is.
Sucking up all of their communication skills. But it's a good lesson in do take note of what the coach driver says, what time you have to be back at the car park, because he's utterly stranded now at the gift shop.
When I was watching this again recently, I thought this shot was like a thrown-in sort of George Lucas.
It does look a bit, they're not there, are they? They're sort of in a...
Just need a couple of witty walks running past.
Yeah.
Oh, TD.
Well, you say that, you joke, they were similar woods. The woods,
yes.
It was...
not far from ILM, isn't it, or something? Like down... was it?
Well, the woods in Return of the Jedi were... most of them were private estates.
Right.
And but these woods they use here... nothing near it, but... They were similar because everyone thought it was the same woodland. To be fair, that's what all the trees and woodlands around that neck of the woods look like.
Are they playing Dungeons and Dragons?
They are, very much so.
Yeah.
Whilst Mao Wow is playing future captain of the Enterprise, sat at the table, I believe.
Who is that?
Have I got that right or wrong? The guy in the sat in the middle next to Michael in the slightly yellow top with black collar. That's an actor who Alan something. He was in Ferris Bueller. Am I getting this wrong? Ferris Bueller's Mate. And he ends up playing one of the captains in like the end of
Star Trek 6.
Star Trek 6 or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure I
think it might be him.
I may have got that all very wrong.
I don't know. No, it's not him.
Is it not him?
No.
Okay.
No.
I know Thomas Howell's in it before he did Soul Man and The Outsiders, which is a great forgotten movie.
You notice in this film that there's a lot of smoke. Obviously for artistic reasons. I mean, it's set around October because Halloween's coming up.
That's true.
But there's clearly, like, even in the house, there's smoke. Like, there's big smoke machines pumping. It's like, it's a bit, I don't know.
And it's those low-lying curb shots that Poltergeist has as well, with that new build. It's all, the camera's all on the ground. Again, it's the child height. I will say this lots of times in this film. This whole film, Spielberg took that trick that Truffaut did in The 400 Blows, which is about post-school, tea time, kids' worlds. And I think Spielberg's consciously like there, look, we cut to Dee Wallace and we're seeing her from a child's height.
Definitely. I mean, I think Dee Wallace has, when you see later on when she goes to work, and that's her hairdo is very Princess Diana.
Yeah, there's a
kind
lot
of like,
she's very with the
taking
puff sleeve blouses and all of that. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
I thought that's like Princess Di.
You don't often see royals in sort of Americana movies of the era.
It seems like a sort of fashionable choice to think, because that's when they got married, wasn't it? In 82, wasn't it? Or
81, July 81. Yeah. So yeah, in fact, I think there was a big royal. I could be wrong here, but one of the early engagements that they did as a married couple was going. Oh, I know what it was. It was at the ET premiere. William had just been born, and Drew Barrymore or Spielberg gave a ET doll to Princess Diana to give over. Yeah, that's what it was. One of the many readings of Spielberg, and particularly ET, is that it's almost like a nativity scene. You've got the stable in the garden. You've got Mary, the mother, here. People often put the whole Old Testament, New Testament readings on Spielberg, which I don't think's relevant. It just happens to look great.
Also, with Close Encounters, Dreyfus, the father, leaves the family. In this one, the mother's left with no father.
Yeah, often the absent father is a massive trope of Spielberg's work.
And all the men in this film, you don't see them till like halfway into the film, like maybe in the third act. They're all hidden, their faces are. But yeah, this film also frustrated a lot of fans of, say, The Thing, because been doing YouTube for so long, reading people's comments, they're quite angered at how E.T. kind of dominated the box office and destroyed everything else. Like, that movies that should have deserved...
It was a crazy year, 82.
Yeah, to deserve more money.
I mean, you look at...
To sort of shine.
Evil Dead, Rocky 3, Tron...
Blade Runner.
Conan. Secret of NIMH.
Poltergeist as well. I mean, Conan, made money. It did well. It's just... The summertime when this came out, it just just destroyed everything. Like, this was
in America. E.T. was a Christmas film in the UK, which again, it's a bit like Ghostbusters. The first one was a Christmas film in the UK. You sort of forget that our memories get projected onto all the American summer blockbuster cues and all the memories of it. But yeah, E.T. was a Christmas film. I do remember going to see it and queuing. At the Cannon Cinema.
There was a Cannon, really.
We had it became a Cannon, then it closed.
In ABC or something.
Yeah, and I remember queuing for E.T. I think it was pouring rain. It was freezing, so it would have been Christmas. Golden Retriever, key component of any Spielberg 70s or 80s film. For years, I thought that was E-Buzz from Poltergeist, but I don't think it is. He actually looks at the camera a lot less. E-Buzz in Poltergeist is always looking at the camera or the boom.
This dog's a bit
this
more,
dog is
takes
a pro.
better direction.
Yeah, he read the script. Lots of Venetian blinds, Stephen. You do love a Venetian blind.
This is a moment that the photography here is brilliant in this film. I love the look of this. I love later on we see obviously because he's going E.T. runs away, runs up the steps, and the trash can falls down. You got the red light,
and it was all a set. And Spielberg, I think that's one of the visual moments that Spielberg changed, because he changed the moon or the sky in his anniversary update. And I'm like, no, it was perfection fine. Before. It was like adding another hand on Michelangelo's chapel. It's like, no, don't do that.
I think Spielberg has learned his lesson now, not to fiddle with these movies.
He obviously had had a slightly boozy lunch with George Lucas once, and he convinced him for one day that go back and retweet your work.
I think E.T. needs some AT-ATs in it. Yeah, just put them in.
It's got a Yoda and a few sort of Imperial fighter toys and things, and Greedo and Hammerhead.
Should we have Tom Cruise running past at top speed? Yeah, good idea.
And Harrison Ford going, that's my family. This was one of the scenes, and it still might make me jump, but it scared the bejesus out of me as a kid. How old was I? I was about 7 and a bit when I saw E.T. at the cinema for the first time, and that scream, and it's also in the photo book, which I've got somewhere. Yeah, I don't know why, but that really just terrified me. I think it's because he's got quite human teeth.
Yeah. The noise he makes as well. It's also kind of noticed is M. Night Shyamalan kind of borrowed the sort of setting with Signs,
of
didn't
course.
he?
Yeah. That cornfield terror, sort of children of the corn.
I'm sure when there's shots of the town, there's no cornfield behind him, the house. I don't recall seeing that shot there. I love that shot, the red. It feels like actually the film's we stepped into the 80s now.
Yes, it's
with that choice of lighting and style. It feels like,
and that sense of suburbia and the sense of the bikes and also the sense that there's a world beyond the playground.
Well, Poltergeist feels like it's kind of not crossed over to the 80s yet. But this feels a little bit more. It's a year or two ahead, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Poltergeist and E.T. are very much cousins cut from the same cloth. Yeah. Literally, they were sort of shot months apart. They shared casting sessions. Drew Barrymore was looked at for Poltergeist, and Heather O'Rourke for this film, and they made the right call.
And the kids all hanged out on the streets.
Yeah, there's some great photos of Robert McNaughton with both Poltergeist kids and E.T. kids sort of hanging out. Little bit of an Imperial March type motif here of adults get sort of scary John Williams music. Flares, because it is still the early 80s.
There's always there's that crossover of fashion, isn't it? That doesn't fully dilute till like maybe sort of the mid.
Well, I always say this, that any decade doesn't really start for about 5 years in terms of its fashions, its films, its music. Which you could actually say E.T.'s quite a late 70s movie.
Yeah, but with its execution though, its visual style, it feels like it's coming into the 80s realm where you've got the sort of the overuse of sort of the smoky kind of look and the use of colour. I do love that table. I always wanted a table like that.
I always want a lamp like that. We had a breakfast sort of, I don't know what you call it, a banquette. What was that the phrase that the Brits might have used? Now, the legend goes that they shot this film in chronological order in order to particularly
upset the kids, basically.
Yeah, to really freak out Drew Barrymore and send her on an adolescence of drugs and booze. Not that it happened in this film. And, Henry Thomas and Elliot Hughes hitting the same resistance that Roy Neary hits in Close Encounters. The sort of the family at the dinner table aren't believing him. And he's right, he's not quite having a mashed potato meltdown, but he's had to say penis breath, which for a kid that day, and it's just...
I love how
he's
his
been
mum
pushed.
just kind of laughs as he says that, It's like, where have you heard this from,
My mother, when I did my Spielberg book, I opened up a bit about this because this film actually came out when my parents were having their own quite horrific sort of Kramer versus Kramer divorce, and my mother's called Sally, and I remember I looked up at her during this scene and she was crying, and she could see the parallels with her own, and it was the first time where a movie had aligned itself to my own childhood or experiences. And I think as we get older, I often do that. I attach movies to a time.
Yes.
Yeah, like AI to me is forever a 9/11 movie because it came out in the UK the same sort of time that happened. So E.T., I always call it's a divorce movie anyway because the parents are split up. But it was I wouldn't say it was reassuring and it was a comfort, but it was you didn't see films about broken homes, and then the most famous film of all time hits your childhood when you're going through that. And it was quite a sort of poignant thing at the time. There's that great sort of sense that Michael here is the father figure, and he's doing his best. He's like a sort of 15, 16-year-old.
You can only reverse
Yeah.
in a car.
That's right, yes, yeah, you can only reverse the car.
This is now. I wouldn't put my hands in that water. That is like
No, the water's
steaming
fine.
hot.
I just wouldn't put my hand anywhere near the smoke machine they've set up by the windowsill. The water's fine.
But it's when you. But had you noticed that sort of connection to your family life and the film when you saw it though? Had you thought?
Yeah, no, at the time, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Do you think that would have been your first real kind of experience? Like, oh my god, this film is speaking to me.
Little bit.
Yeah.
That sounds sort of crass. Not
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
but yeah.
But I mean, it's.
It did. Without we are not alone, as the poster for Close Encounters says. I think suddenly you realise, other kids are going through this.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember there's all sorts of poignancies for me with E.T. One of them is that in the same way that Elliot lies about having an alien in his closet and he pretends to be ill to get off school, my mum took me to see it, and my dad wanted to take me to see it, and they were separated by that time, and I didn't tell either of them that the other was taking me. Partly, and I was already a little film buff, partly because I wanted to see it twice, but also I didn't have the heart to disappoint them because it was like the thing to take your kids to. So I made my dad think, until perhaps he hears this commentary, I made him believe that we saw it for the first time in Brighton. So I saw it in Guildford, and then at the ABC in Brighton, in the days where they had like loads of storybooks and Viewmasters and badges and T-shirts from the film on sale in the foyer.
Oh.
That's a missed beat. Dear cinema owners, please get into that.
Need to do that again.
Have some merchandise. It'll make you money. He's dropping the not M&Ms. For years we all thought Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk sleeping bag there.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's pop culture in a pop culture plastic cut, this film. And it doesn't mean to be. It's not intentional. It's the set is dressed by the same lady who did Poltergeist, Pat Carr, and you can see the similarities of the pop culture world. And it's not just for homages and in-jokes. It's because that was the bedrooms that we had as kids at the time.
And this is what being shot probably early 82. So, most kids' bedrooms would have had Star Wars toys littered around.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And I think what else Elliot's got. I mean, it's good that he's got a Hulk thing. I mean, he's obviously likes his comics.
Oh, he's got a whole. There's Simon Says.
As a
he's got Greedo and Hammerhead.
Is it Speak and Play or
Speak and Spell?
Speak and Spell. Sorry.
When he closes his door here, he's got an Elvis Costello poster. Look, there's a TIE fighter on the wooden bureau there. Coke can. I mean, even Coke cans are.
No, that's when they were big.
That's when they were like the sizes of small submarines.
That's someone the other day. I remember it must be Ricky Gervais or something like that. I said like, "Oh, curly whirlies used to be the size of ladders."
Yeah, they were. we would break into houses, climbing up curly whirlies.
30p
and wagon wheels. Yeah, that's the one. And there's a little Jaws nod when he starts. I think it's a beautiful scene where he it's not just yet, but look, Elvis Costello on the wall at the back there.
Oh yeah. It's funny when Michael Jackson became obsessed with E.T., didn't he? Like he had this there was an image with him posing with E.T.
That's right. Yeah, there was a whole thing with Michael Jackson that was Michael Jackson did a story album of the film.
Did he?
Yeah, that Quincy Jones produced.
Did it come out?
And it's a lot of dialogue, existing dialogue and cues, with Michael Jackson it's on YouTube, with his slightly sickly narration that's a little Michael Jackson-y.
Yeah.
But it was pulled from release, more or less, because a small album called Thriller was about to come out. And they didn't want to detract attention. But it is on YouTube. It's very schmaltzy in a way that the film isn't. But Michael Jackson, there was always pictures of him amongst all these fern leaves and trees.
Weird,
and Spielberg as
stuff.
well with his cap.
I love this part here. It's when E.T. starts purring.
Yeah, and they're having that sort of... this piece of music is called E.T. and Me. I think it's one of John Williams' most beautiful, profound pieces of music. It just bubbles, it just drifts. There's no big push to it. And this is the moment where E.T. and Elliot are sort of psychologically...
linking now.
Marrying up.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's getting tired now. And E.T. starts getting tired.
That's, by the way, that long johns and an anorak's how I go and empty the bins most nights around here. One day I'm going to get locked out and we stood in long johns and an anorak. And one of the practical practical effects, practical creatures. It may not, 30, nearly 40 years later, it may not hold
it's no
up
Jim
so
Henson
well.
stuff. It's a little. It's far more like kind of stiff and a bit more animated in terms of like. There's not enough smoothness to it with the movements. I don't think. When you see
the fact it is animated, I think makes it. Again, it's that artifice. I think.
But if you look at this in Dark Crystal, the same year, Dark Crystal just like bloody hell. That's just amazing.
Yeah, that's
terrifying.
You still look at that going, where is the man in that? Where's the
They've got like
person?
5 men all crushed together in this kind of like Skeksis or something, Isn't the chap was it an Italian who designed E.T. in the animatronic?
Carlo Rambaldi.
Yeah, did do the alien? Didn't he?
No, that was H.R. Giger.
No, but the animatronic head though. I don't think Giger did the.
Rambaldi did random. Yeah, he did. I think
I can't remember now.
Something like the Black Stallion as well. I don't know why that would have needed.
Did he work on Close Encounters?
He designed some of the girls towards the end. Yes,
right,
I believe.
I love this because he's trying to fake being ill. I remember my older sister, get really annoyed when she knew I was faking it, and I love how his brother bursts in for the door. He goes, "How you doing, faker?"
Oh yeah. I did it once and just felt racked with guilt. I think that was the Catholic upbringing. I couldn't. I didn't hang out with an alien. I don't even know what I did. Actually, never noticed Elliot's rainbow gay pride blinds though. But fair play for pushing diversity. Admittedly, E.T. does leave a rainbow in his wake at the very end.
He does dress up as a lady,
and he does. There's that. He does Dolly Parton drag
That's
particularly
right,
well. So his house not to reverse an Audi.
It's got so much space and he can't reverse this bloody car. I love how it's because you think, she's going to discover E.T. He would have rolled himself up in a sleeping bag. This was the movie that took forever to come out, didn't it? On VHS.
8 years.
Because it wasn't one of the most pirated movies of the 80s.
Yeah, which I always think meant it was one of the most watched at home movies of all time, which gives it a sort of importance. It came out 82, summer in America, Christmas here, and it was October 88. It finally came out on home rental, and then not long after you could buy it.
That's a long time.
That's a massively long time. I think it was partly to preserve its sort of, I don't know, deity. It was held up as one of the most important.
I think it was Spielberg's kind of
made.
reluctancy to jump on the home video bandwagon.
Well, no one needed a copy of it because everyone had a copy of it as well.
Yeah.
That's possibly it. And also the piracy of this film, I wouldn't say this film started it, but I think it's like 25th of May, which is obviously linked to Star Wars a bit. In 81 or 82, Reagan signed an anti-piracy ruling to try and stop piracy because it was seen as almost like a terrorist threat. It's funny how things change. And obviously he didn't stop it at all.
No. I mean, piracy itself, I mean, it was quite an interesting thing where the creators of South Park had said, piracy, the episodes being shared online actually made them more popular.
Yeah. Yeah, and within reason, I think it only encourages people to engage with the product. I do believe in paying artists and creatives a fair whack.
Of course. But I think a lot of the time the profits they predict is kind of like doesn't exist. That we lost X amount of money. Well, you just predicted you'd make that amount. And like Avatar was one of the most pirated movies, and it made $2 billion or more at the box office. So
this is great. I love
trying to show him how to. There's Star Wars toys and
Jaws toys, and this is we're going to have the 1941 toys and the Close Encounters toys, and this is the Sugarland Express train set.
Colour purple,
colour purple play
activity set. I don't know.
Ooh, too soon. Too soon. But we all know what it's like. That weird, almost ethereal world when we're at home, when everyone else is at school. It's a bizarre thing when you're a kid.
Yeah, it is.
And And I think this film really opts for that sort of closet Toyland world of Elliot here, and it's beautifully unfurls this scene where they're just spending a day together,
and they're hiding E.T. in a lot of shadow as well. They're not.
Well, it's keeping the puppet at bay because don't know.
It's clever. It's a clever decision,
and it's all made in the eyes, which are based on also. I mean, the rumours are it was because you talk about doing the voices. Deborah Winger was one of the voices.
Really?
I don't know in what context. And Einstein, they based the eyes on a sort of composite of a few people, one of them allegedly being Einstein. And the whole film, the reason we believe E.T., I think, as a character, it's about those eyes.
His eyes, it's the eyes, yeah.
If you didn't get the eyes, I imagine they spent longer on those eyes and the pupils than anything. That's collectors.
Tony Boba Fett, he's got a jetpack thing on in the rocket, worth a fortune.
The Long John industry went through the roof in this film. Never mind Risky Business and the sales of Ray-Bans. Long Johns like this just went through the roof.
I don't think I ever owned Long Johns. Oh God, yeah, your dog would just bark at anything. We saw that.
See, Americans do fridges. We just don't.
We don't
do fridges even now.
Ginormous.
They're proper sarcophaguses of food, or whatever the phrase is.
Because they're always in films, us Brits seeing American movies where people got orange juice or milk.
Yeah, milk.
Ginormous cartons of it. It's like, how are you going to finish all this? I struggle to finish 4 pints of milk, before it goes out of date.
It was going back to that thing of why do all American movies have so much food on the table?
Yeah.
Sort of massive mashed potato and salads.
Who keeps peanut butter in the fridge?
Space shuttle there, hanging above the bed. In case we didn't realise it's a space film.
What other kind of in other movies? What kind of where did E.T. pop up in? I know he popped up in Gremlins as a toy, stuffed toy.
Phantom Menace.
Oh right. Oh yeah, he does.
There's 3 of them in that.
Yeah. Maybe.
But no one saw it, so it's fine. Yeah, good point. What film does E.T. crop up in?
I'm sure it would be something else because it came because such a pop culture phenomenon. It was just.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go away and think of all the references.
They referenced it in Last Action Hero with the kid on the bike.
Yeah,
that's not E.T. himself, but yeah.
Dungarees, really, Elliot? I know you're 10, you're at that age, but dungarees is not a look. I'm going to have a Yoda impression here just to keep it all in context.
I do love it by the end though, because the lads we've been introduced to at the beginning, they just come to help straight away.
Yeah, and there's no resistance.
Yeah, no resistance.
Oh, I'm going to lose my license and we're all going to die. But we're going to do it. We're going to go for it. Can you just beam up?
Yeah, that's the great.
This is reality, Greg.
Sorry, I'm sarcastic.
I'm arrowhead here. Yeah,
you've got.
And I love that notion that all the slightly older kids, Elliot, he's doing what all younger brothers do. He's trying to
impress them as well.
He's trying to keep in with his sister, her younger world, but he's trying to slightly be the cool kid in the adolescent world of his brother and his pals. But Michael and his pals, they've been preparing for this moment. All these Dungeons and Dragons sort of sci-fi board games and arcade games. They've been preparing for this alien to come down. So there's not much resistance when they have to save it at the end.
Mm. My God, it's a walking turd.
It's how E.T. recognises the decency in Michael as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't scream.
This is great.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore's brilliant in this, isn't she?
I love Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
I'm so glad she turned that corner that, in her sort of late teen years and has become she's a major producer as well. She's a very clever, canny producer. When I was doing Watching Skies, I approached her to do a forward and her agent was really up for it, but it didn't happen in the end. But I was so keen to get her because she's only a day or two younger than me as well. And also, there's a little. I'm sure I'm right here. The house, obviously, it's a real house. I think it's in Tujunga, which is sort of not far from LA and all that neck of the woods. But in one of the Charlie's Angels movies with Drew Barrymore, when she lands in a parachute or she ends up in someone's back garden,
it's the
same house as E.T. It's like a little in-joke.
Not a fan of those Charlie Angels movies, though. Stank. Not a fan.
Yeah, you're right. She is very Diana. It's very Sloaney.
It's the same.
Early 80s.
I swear it's the same bloody coat as well.
A little bit of Jodhpur about her. It's like she's just going to go off and have her evening ride. I find this film quite profound, not just for the divorce reasons and all of that back in the day, but I think one of the hardest things to do is to do a movie about childhood and get it right, because often films about childhood are comments on adulthood, and this isn't. This is. I do feel actually at the end of the film, his childhood has ended.
Yes,
and the music at the end of the film, it's John Williams scoring the end of childhood, but it gets. I mean, Spielberg was a master, particularly at this time, of just getting child performances without, he probably used lots of tricks and ruses on set just to get that one look, that one turn of a phrase. But I mean, look at Drew Barrymore here. She was, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And she's giving an amazing performance.
And it's the idea of like the older brothers, they're threatening her by ripping her apart, her dolly.
And E.T.'s looking at them like, don't do that. He's almost turning paternal.
Yeah. I think Spielberg just had that skill of being able to communicate to kids on their level, and we've seen with so many films over the years. I mean, with other directors like Chris Columbus is pretty good with dealing with children, especially with things like the likes of Home Alone. Yeah, and
Harry Potter less so. Harry Potter terribly cast.
Yeah, I think that's kind of more of a, I don't know, maybe too many people doing around the kids to sort of, to get him to. Him having to speak on their level, maybe. I don't know the sort of in or outs of that. But Richard Donner's very good with it as well, with the Goonies. But Spielberg's kind of done it so many times, it's become sort of second nature to him, actually, really. Because when you see Hook as well, he's just... Hook, with the kids in that, it's a little bit on the nose with the sort of
they're
cheesiness.
Acting, they're aware of it a bit more. I always feel these sort of films like Close Encounters and the Brody Boys and Jaws 1 particularly, they're looking at them like, are they aware the cameras are rolling? Are they aware of the artifice of this? Of course they are. They're just clever little kids. I would urge anyone to go online or perhaps to dig out the audition tape that Henry Thomas does for this film. It's a stunning performance. And then right at the end, it's like a videotape audition. You hear Spielberg's voice going, "Kid, you got the job." And you're looking at it, I remember crying. I don't watch audition tapes often, but I remember crying at the audition tape. I was like,
didn't you just say, "I'm going to go play with Elliot," and she goes, "Oh, don't let him torture you."
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And here's the beginning of Spielberg bringing in one of his sort of... He often brings in an object that will comment on the film and be... He does it a lot in... You can see it in Close Encounters where he will have... Suddenly an actor or a couple, an elderly couple that we saw earlier in the film, will be there at the end, and he's sort of rewarding what you observe and rewarding that this story's happening on a broader canvas. But one of the things he also does, not so much in Close Encounters, although you could say he does it with the Devil's Tower, he projects the story onto an inanimate object. So here we've got the plant. So the geranium plant here becomes a barometer of E.T.'s health, and then we learn that's we don't need to be told he's dying. We just see a petal falling, and it's the same with the post box in The Colour Purple, and possibly the toy plane in Empire of the Sun. He uses these objects to further the narrative without over-egging it, without loads of dialogue.
So we'll say less is more.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's you can cut through so much dialogue by doing that. Doesn't need to be on the nose. Now, did you read up on about the older E.T. video game, that sort of.
Oh,
That
gosh,
was-
yes,
yeah,
the whole
sort of-
Zach Penn, Ernie Klein.
Yeah, sort of just ended up.
That's an interesting documentary, the Atari Game Over documentary. It's
Yeah, it's sort of
floating
obviously
around
the game
still.
sort of crippled the Atari in '83 because they produced too much product to cover the cost of the license, and
And it was deemed to be a really pathetic game, but a lot of gamers have since said it's a clever game. It was slightly...
it was a
Was
rush.
it
It was a guy. The guy programmed the Raiders of the Lost Ark video game, which was actually pretty good.
Right.
We had like 3 or 4 weeks to make this one for the ET, and it was just a bit of a bugger's muddle. It was more of a mess, but it had an idea behind it all, which kind of could have worked. But yeah, the game was kind of broken, and basically killed the sort of game industry for a short while in the USA. But over here, we had Spectrums and Commodores, so it didn't really affect us at all. But yeah, that was the sort of the big movie license that kind of for a video game that kind of scared people from actually doing that, because the cost of licensing a movie to a video game was kind of seen as a bit of a risk.
They got it all sorted by the Schindler's List arcade game, though. No, they didn't do a Schindler's List arcade game.
From Capcom. Big giant pair of keys are coming over the hill.
It's very, it's been noted, but it's very Tom and Jerry that you only see you see the keys, you see the feet,
Thomas!
Thomas, yeah, you almost expect Peter Coyote to sort of be mammied up in sort of Gone with the Wind, housemaid type thing. Again, a beautiful scene. Spielberg's obsession with Venetian blinds in this era of his work, but nods to Peter Pan, which obviously Spielberg took the mantle of in '91. Oh, it's later. I think Mary's reading Peter Pan to Gertie in bed.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
it's like, clap your hands if you believe. I'd love to. I will go one day, but it's a real part
town.
of the world, real
Yeah.
town, real
Yeah.
strip. But it's all really overgrown now because life finds a way, as Goldblum tells us, and so it's really foresty and quite tree lined. It's odd to see. So, but basically, this is the '80s in one scene. You've got
Everyone's waiting for
Erica
school bus.
Alanayak. You've got C. Thomas
From
Howell. You've got
Baywatch, innit?
chunky headphones, sort of BMX type bikes.
She was from Under Siege, wasn't she, as well?
Good old yellow school bus.
Yeah, that's it. I mentioned in our commentary for Close Encounters, sort of just being obsessed with these inanimate objects in America that sort of symbolises what we think America is in some way visually. When I was in America and Utah, I saw one of those school buses. I was like, oh my God!
I see them everywhere in California,
it was just
and you do stop, and you go, there's a real one.
And it's just,
And they're massive as well. They're like sort of Boeing 747s.
But in the UK, we just got these battered like Whippet or like stagecoach.
We had
buses.
We had safeguard coaches. Well, they weren't and it was literally just fag ash, and the driver was probably on 82 lists and shouldn't be near children. But yeah.
So this is kind of like what Joe Dante does in Gremlins.
Yeah, and also Spielberg does in Jurassic Park as well. There's there's a shot along the rows of toys and merchandise. I think by that point he was aware. I always think that's a nod to E.T. and the merchandise, because people might not click, but there was so much E.T. was everywhere during '82.
You've got an E.T. lunchbox up there.
I've got an E.T. Well, I was given that actually recently, kindly, but E.T. flower, everything you could think of. No, it's not. But I always wondered if that was Ke Huy Quan sat at the back. Short round from Temple of Doom. I'd love it if it was, and I know it's not.
Shared universe. Now this bit's a bit strange. I mean, I know what it's doing. But
have you never stayed at home and got drunk and watched John Wayne films?
But it's like when he sees that moment in the film, and then Elliot copies it, and he's got the girl, and and he.
They're sort of mind linked. They've had the
Yeah,
sort
but
of
where's
mind
this
meld. They're
wind?
married.
Where's this wind coming from? And
It's artifice again. It's who cares?
It's
It's
also
artifice.
it's so weird. Also, because the teacher's voice is Harrison Ford, right?
Yeah, well, he was the principal. I think
Yeah.
they did shoot a scene, but he was just
Yeah,
too
but it's
Harrison Ford.
but the person on camera is an older man.
Yeah.
But it's Harrison Ford's voice.
I'm sure, I could have got this wrong. I'm sure Dan Aykroyd had some involvement in this.
Did he?
I'm making that. I know he crops up in Temple of Doom. And
Yeah.
he's
Like poultry.
Yeah, he's in 1941, obviously, and he's in another. He's playing on the TV in another Spielberg film. I won't get this. I won't say it and get it wrong. But I'm like, Dan Aykroyd crops up in more Spielberg films than John Williams almost.
Did John Williams ever cameo in any of the films? Did he ever have an on-screen moment? Because Goldsmith pops up in like Gremlins.
That's
2
right. Yeah,
and-
I'd like to say no, but I'm sure there's probably Spielberg likes to do reflections. Like he often puts himself on TV screens and on sort of wing mirrors. It's an early form of Wi-Fi. That's what this is. It's like alien Wi-Fi. He's connecting. It's got full coverage. And obviously, they had lots of little people and little kids playing ET for every shot required a different technique of doing it. I think one of the shots here, they had this kid who could walk on his hands. He had no body beneath his waist, but he was quite agile and would walk on his hands. And so he did this. Oh, that does look like a rubber suit. Sorry, that's the rubber suit moment. Again, I'd like someone to mash this up with Indiana Jones giving his lecture, cutting back.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Now, wasn't there extra scenes in this moment where he's watching TV? They put back in for the.
I've only seen it once or twice.
This is the 30th
rejig.
anniversary cut. It's not the.
This is the 82. This is the original.
Is the 82?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I only know that because the plasticine planets looked very. They weren't too CGI. I could be wrong.
Okay.
There might be some
Okay.
blatant moment.
Because Harrison Ford's wife, she had written this, hadn't she?
At the time, yeah, Melissa Matheson.
Yeah. She sadly passed away, a couple of years ago?
Yeah, she would.
Last thing she did was BFG.
Which was her next film with Spielberg.
Yeah.
And I think she was sort of pushing through that, knowing time perhaps was short.
Did you enjoy BFG? Stephen's version?
I did see it again. I saw it at the cinema, and I found it a bit too sugary. To me, Roald Dahl's a bit more cynical and jagged than the film was. I think I liked the whole Rylance sort of motion capture stuff and all of that.
I think it lacked. It wasn't actually scary. I think the monsters, the giants, should have been far more scary.
And that sort of Harry Potter London, I'm like, did Spielberg not learn from Hook? It was sort of. I wanted to see a real London, but then I liked Penelope Wilton as the Queen. I thought, and
well, that's the thing about also with Hook, with that sort of Disney-esque London,
Yeah.
where you've got it's snowing, and you think, no, it doesn't snow at Christmas.
It doesn't snow. It snows in June. Buck Rogers, of course it is. I mean, I remember the TV being a major point of the family home when I was a kid at this age, and Spielberg's really doing that here. I mean, Close Encounters has TVs on all the time, less so in Jaws. Poltergeist is made up of TV screen. There's TV screens everywhere in the story and outside of it.
I love how the little satellite looks a little bit like E.T. As well. We never had to do that in class, dissecting a frog. I think it's just
Not at that age. No, we took our options by this point, didn't we?
Yeah, we never did anything like this. I don't think. I don't recall anyway. I wouldn't do it
I
anyway.
never did. No, I never did
if-
biology because I was
yeah.
a bit squeamish. Still am. I certainly didn't want to start
Yeah, cutting up
cutting
something.
up frogs from California.
Yeah.
Nowadays, this should just be ADHD. just a bit problematic. Just needs Ritalin. It'd be fine. My grandfather's favourite film, apparently, The Quiet Man, the John Wayne.
I love
film.
that look there, VT, when he's
Yeah.
kind of because he's doing something, and he kind of looks up at the TV and he's like, "Oh, what's that?"
Mm.
You know, it's that sort of it's very very subtle thing they did with the eyes.
And it's almost like TV. They're still using TV on this planet. It's sort of like, really? Sort of throwing shade at the TV.
What is this bollocks? You know? Yeah, because it pulls out
It's-
all the sound.
Yeah.
And then it's got this
But
wind
it's great.
coming in.
It's
and,
brilliant. It's like the two non-diegetic worlds meet.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
it how he gets the kid
Yeah.
to step on.
And it's not a moment of movies and cinema.
That's the Yellow Pages gag they do later
Yeah.
on, isn't it?
I know
You
that kid.
Do you?
I did a film with that kid. He still gets royalties from it.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
What?
It still crops up. They still use it as an advert.
What?
Yeah.
I've not seen that in
He's in
years.
his 30s now.
Fucking hell.
Dean. Hello, Dean, if you're listening.
Aren't you off Yellow Pages? Yes, darling. Yes, I was off that. I've done more work.
Yeah, I did. I don't think that's my mother breeds golden retrievers, and I have a feeling that's not a thoroughbred. That looks like a crossbreed one.
This is quite funny because the mother
Kicks
completely
every can out of the way. I don't think it's been planned, but
no, but she completely ignores him, and it's just like this. She's like, "Look, mummy, look at this."
it's that suggestion that
yeah.
parents don't notice
Yeah.
what their kids are doing.
No,
He's the man from the moon. I think you killed him already. I'm liking Drew Barrymore's look here. The handbag matches the shoes. She is going to town. She's dressing better than her mother at the moment. Her mother's still going for that sort of Sloane Square
look at that. Yeah, big
Diana thing. With the
puffy shirt.
puff sleeve
Yeah.
blouse.
What else has she been in?
Which did The
actress?
Howling.
Oh God, yeah.
And oh gosh, can't think of anything now.
See, she should have been cast as in a sort of biography of Princess Di. There you go.
What instead of Naomi Watts?
Yeah. Should have been too old for that actually by that point.
There's a convention in November 2018 in Edinburgh, like a Comic-Con type thing, and they got Dee Wallace, Robert McNaughton, and Henry Thomas. I'd love to have gone to it and just
No.
got the three of them back.
Oh, isn't you told me that? Is it Brighton? Terrence Stamp?
Terence Stamp's doing Brighton
Next
January
January.
2019. Yeah.
We'll have to go to that.
Be
Speak to Terrence.
Sesame Street gets good value in early Spielberg because
Yeah.
the Counting album is played when Melinda Dillon's house gets sort of sieged by orange lights. And again, Sesame Street was intrinsic, particularly to Americans, because it was just a key thing. But I remember watching Sesame Street, and I do remember that whole animation.
I saw, yeah. For me, Sesame Street was kind of like just randomly I saw it. I think it was on Channel 4.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
used to be Channel 4 in the mornings.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Big Bird's more of a distraction than the extraterrestrial that's pissed in her lounge right now. Hang on, though. Wait a minute. It's Big Bird. I like Big Bird. And that's how phones used to look, to those that wondering what that thing is.
I mean, the button pressing ones must have been pretty quite pricey then, because we were still using the old rotary ones. You know,
I like the
in
little
in the late 80s.
chirpy ones. They were like sort of very space age.
Oh yeah.
They were sort of, I don't know how to describe it, like beige, and they had like a real 70s space age design. Oh my God, it's Drag Race ET. Category is Dolly Parton. Clearly Dolly Parton. I remember that getting massive laughs at the cinema. I think the adults really appreciated sort of E.T. dragged up. There's been some reading that this is a whole E.T.'s. It's a gay coming out story because he's literally kept in the closet. Does drag when no one's looking, and then leaves a rainbow in his wake. But I think we'll brush over that one. I love the way he just struts there. I know it's someone in a costume, and it's going to look real.
Because he's once he's realised he's got the idea that he can call home.
Yeah,
he's really happy now. So he's like,
he's enjoying it. Yeah,
he's
slowly
he knows he's not going to be stuck here, but also he's becoming too warm to Elliot and that lot, and he seems to enjoy their company. But he knows he needs to go home. There's a weird jump there. Did you see the picture jump slightly? Because it didn't, but no, it seems like
I'm just looking at.
It felt like a missed frame.
It kind of still works. I mean, part of the ET costume here, the drag is a good idea because it hides it all.
Yeah.
So all you're seeing again is those eyes. Is that really?
He does look like a little old lady who's been in the sun for too long. It's kind of looking like a leather handbag.
Yes. Yeah. He's got to be careful. He's turning into Jackie Stallone. No nuke. I never noticed that. No nuke. A little bit of.
There's quite a few swear words in this. They say shit a couple of times.
And E.T. phone home again. Times perhaps diminished it, but phone home was like the hashtag. That was everywhere back in '82.
Oh yeah.
And obviously later.
And everyone used it as a sort of joke thing as well.
And a bit like Close Encounters as well, the film refuses to put the government as the all-out villains. They might be meddlers. They're almost like teachers that are going to tell everyone to go home early. But there's something sinister about this. It's maybe tapping into the conversation and Coppola. The idea of sound waves can be tracked like that. It's quite creepy.
I don't get the sense that Spielberg had an issue with authority.
No, not at all. No, he's not. Again,
he's not like John Carpenter has a totally different vibe on that. He warns you of the threat of a totalitarian sort of government.
He's wary of it. I mean, I do. This film was made during Republican era. It's a very Reaganite classic piece of cinema.
Well, Hollywood in general is very sort of liberal kind of way of thinking, isn't it?
Well, I know Reagan was apparently was a little bit. Because at the time, Reagan was pushing a real family first thing.
Yeah, and they loved it. I think that was part of the making of this.
But the idea of having a broken family amongst all that, like a divorced mum, was quite, I wouldn't say brave, but it was quite a strong, and it makes absolute sense, but it was quite a strong script choice of Spielberg's to do that. And they're right. There's that smell. I think they get Brute, the aftershave, and yeah. And I do find smells can just take you back. Those turtle wax air fresheners you get in cars, that actually takes me back to E.T. and that time being in my dad's car. And another thing that happened with this film is particularly the flying theme. The track called "Flying" was in the charts.
Was it?
It charted in the top 10 as a single, yeah. And when I was watching Skies, I looked back and I went to the Billboard and the UK chart history sites and was just reading them, and I suddenly realised that the highest Flying by John Williams got in the UK charts at the time, it was usurped by Africa and Toto. And the lead singer of Africa is John Williams' son. I was like, oh, imagine that dinner conversation. So how are you doing with your UK sales, Dad?
Because I don't think I ever recall with John Williams' music being released as a single was Duel of the Fates. In fact, the Menace.
That's right,
I remember that. But I never knew E.T.
No, E.T. I mean, I can't imagine it being done on top of the Pops. I think probably just... And now we've got John Williams and the Boston Philharmonic.
And I've got a mime to it.
Hi,
as well.
I'm Mike Reed, and this is John Williams. No, I can't. I don't think it worked. I would love to have seen the official video, because I think they did have one for Duel of the Fates, but the E.T. flying official video probably didn't exist. But yeah, it was a chart, and it was everywhere on the radio. And I remember every time I smell turtle wax car freshener.
Did it have
I always
samples
think
of the
that.
dialogue from the film?
No.
Oh,
It was
just a piece.
all out 2.5 minute track. It was always played on Radio 2.
Interesting.
I think John Williams, when he does his scores, it's when he uses pianos. That's we're used to the big strings of all the big movements, but when he uses pianos, I think that's where the soul of his writing comes out. And it's there. It's in Accidental Tourist as well.
And Jurassic Park, you know.
Yeah,
sort
when
of
it just
the theme
pulls back
on
from the big
piano.
signatures.
Yeah. There is a bit of like the Fortress of Solitude, the sort of what would it be, the harp sort of sound?
Yeah.
Is that harp? Is it?
Yeah.
Sort of sound. Is that sense of? Is it always use that to sort of give that sense of that magical kind of feel to it?
But it also ties into John Williams. He's quite jazz when he first started. He was a jazz man or sort of jazz sound.
Yeah.
And he gives those. When he brings in his pianos, there's that sort of jazz piano sound. It's always very effective.
That's why things like "Catch Me If You Can," you know, that sort of jazz sound to it.
Now, I feel this is the original '82 version because they CGI'd this up a bit more.
Right. It's a strange thing because after just done sort of Halloween sort of coverage in the horror season on my channel, and when I was out in America, it's I find it always quite strange that the Americans, I suppose, treat Halloween probably as one of the biggest holidays there, and sort of suppose Thanksgiving, because Halloween to us is it is a very American thing that's kind of been essentially forced upon the Brits. The shops and retailers want you to celebrate it, where we're just kind of like,
in '82 we didn't have what we've got now. I remember that. Yeah,
the Americans spend huge amounts of money just for one day, for one night of just this kind of that scare everyone in the neighbourhood and trick or treat. And to me, it was always like not everyone did it in the UK. Now most people still don't do it. It's just
although around where I live here with sort of a little bit of Surrey suburbia, there are little kids going around, and it does feel a bit ET. I remember on Halloween night. Actually, you were here. You were last time you came over, and just seeing all the little kids with their parents, it did feel a little bit ET. But I am the person that runs indoors, turns the lights off, and closes the blinds.
go away.
I haven't got any Haribo. Fuck off.
Got some peanuts, so you can have some of that. Cornflakes. The isn't it supposed to be a sort of set rule that if you've got a pumpkin in your window, you're taking part? Yeah, I think. I love the mother here, where she's all like just. I think she stays home by herself.
She does, yeah. She's sort of doing it for the photo op. She's done that, doing that crazy Sean Young thing of turning up as Catwoman in chat shows. That's what she's doing. Look into your Sean Young Catwoman's history for what I've just mentioned there. God, it's sort of embarrassing herself, bless her. She could have had a huge career if she didn't hurt herself before Batman. Yes, and she was in, or she was sort of in Blade Runner 10 to 9 or 2049, whatever it's called. 10 to 9. Yeah. And when she was interviewed for it, I thought, oh my God, you should still be a thing. You should still be a presence, but I perhaps just wasn't to be. That's blatantly a human being kick. Oh no, it's meant to be. Yeah, isn't that supposed to be? That's Drew Barrymore. She's waiting around to do the switcheroo, isn't she, or something? So Yoda comes up here, and that is a nod to Star Wars. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be like the worst trivia hound. Come on, where's the kid in a Superman suit? I know he's got pig-like feet, but why give him the most awkward clown shoes? Yeah, like Socho Bob sort of shoes. Oh, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yeah. I think we have a Nixon go past, because obviously he's still the Halloween villain of That's right. Suburban Democrat America. Actually, is Stuart Freeborn walking past? Oh, well, I like what you did there. Does it like he's got a Forbidden Planet carrier bag? That's what I thought, yeah. Fair play. Just just off the Forbidden Planet. Beautiful shot.
Look at that. I mean,
that is beautiful. That's no accident. That's beautifully filmed.
Because I thought to myself, is that kind of been altered in some way? But it just looks so perfect. God, amazing. Oh, this is the first sort of time. Well, it shows that he can fly, isn't it? Fucking speeders go whizzing past.
Yeah. You mash it up. Someone like the cast of Stranger Things. Next time, weigh down the alien puppet and just weigh it down a bit more. It's blatantly not there. The very few moments in cinema that are exhilarating, and I remember this being utterly exhilarating at the cinema. And I was, as I say, I was barely 7, so it's quite a long time ago. But it was a moment
of flying, isn't it?
Yeah,
seeing that, and it looks very real with its execution. It's the effects are very impressive for the time.
And it's just tapping into the fact that when you're a kid, one of the things you'd love to do if you ever could was fly. It's that Superman. I want to just fly. I just want to step off the ground and fly. And I think it's how this film celebrates childhood. Oh, that's a nod to Amblin, the production company. No, please don't attack me for timeline reasons here. One of those few examples, and Jaws is the same, and it's partly down to John Williams, where the score becomes an event on its own. The theme,
the music stands on its own outside of the film.
Yeah,
and that's what John and Goldsmith and things like even James Horner. You could listen to the Kroll soundtrack by itself, not punish yourself by watching the film.
When I did watch his guys, Horner was the one I listened to on loop most, because I found John Williams too distracting because he was too much part of what I was writing about.
Yeah,
and I'd put James Horner on, and there was great, like you say, Kroll and even American Tales are brilliant.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And a film called Wolf Totem as well, which I haven't seen, but the score is beautiful. It's one of his recent ones, and obviously Braveheart and Casper as well, the theme from Casper. Anyway, James Horner's got nothing to do with this film, but just went off on a reverie there.
But that's the going back to sort of the film scores. I mean, it's sometimes hard nowadays to find a film score that can stand on its own outside the movie.
There are very few signature themes. Yeah. Ray's theme, actually, in Force Awakens, I felt, that's the first time I've heard a theme that lives beyond the movie. But you're right, I'm always struggling to think there is great music in films, but you don't get those signature themes, those motifs.
Yeah. And it's often one piece of music you could take away from it, and that'll be the standout piece. But as a whole album, it's very, very rare for them to stand on their own anymore.
I mean, maybe it's my age, but I'm not sure what the Avengers theme, how that goes. Maybe that's probably my age, because I'm not sort of marinated in Marvel like younger generations are. This car seems to just forever be reversed. I don't think it actually drives forward. It's just being forever reversed out of the driveway.
This fog.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
It's become a horror film, essentially, how it looks.
Oh, here we go, yeah. It's that notion as well that people in suits are to be feared.
Yeah.
Kids in dungarees, they're fine. Aliens in drag, fine. But a man turns up in a Macy's suit he got in the sale. No, he's bad.
No.
What if that's your house? Would you ever get away from the iconography of that house?
The house is
massive.
Big,
it's like the Poltergeist house. So it's
yeah,
like white, such big 70s architecture.
It's like American houses are generally bigger than most UK.
It's to accommodate all those massive mashed potato mounds that they bring out for meals.
To accommodate these fridges. He's going to communicate with a series of 01010111s.
It's just so hard when you're trying to get a Wi-Fi signal, and it's
you're
just slightly. It's more rural than you thought.
It's kind of these weird symbols that are on there. I don't know what that. I think are they, is that his
I
own
imagine
language?
it's yeah. It's
I don't know.
sort of. Did you ever read the pitch for the sequel?
No.
I've read it's online somewhere. I've read it. It's like a 5-typed page.
Was this what
Sort of
Stephen had
PDF.
written?
Yeah, I think it was more just to shut the studios up. Like, here's if you want it to be something, this is what it would be. But I
Yeah.
don't think there was any big ambitions.
Because
to
we all
do
mentioned
it.
that this was kind of like the workings of Close Encounters as a sequel.
Yeah.
But it became its own beast. But so what was the pitch?
Well,
then?
the pitch was that at the end of the film, assuming everyone's seen it, Keys, the Peter Coyote character, and Mary, the Dee Wallace character, they get together. She ends up having a relationship, and he moves in.
Yeah.
And I think it's Elliot and possibly Keys on the roof of their house have built, and I think it's almost referencing a deleted scene from Close Encounters where Dreyfuss is on the roof and he's sort of observing things from up there. Unless I'm getting my 70s films mixed up. But anyway, Elliot's got a communication system to try and tap out to E.T., up in the cosmos and the universe. But what he does is he attracts the wrong sort of aliens who come down and kidnap the kids, that Michael and his mates. So the whole film is about getting the proper E.T. to help them and save them. But suddenly you're taking the Earth characters off Earth, and it's not that sort of film. That's not the beat of it.
I think it would have kind of ruined this movie if that happened.
The only thing I like about it is that Keys and Mary get together, and that it's that it sticks with Elliot, and that he. I mean, I said this with Close Encounters. It's more my fanboy Spielberg mind, but I'd like to see Roy Neary come back, played by Dreyfuss, and I'd like maybe to see what happened. Spielberg could do a film about Henry Thomas in his 50s almost now, and what happened to Elliot. I suppose the beauty of it is we don't know what happens. We don't need to know.
Because when I was watching this the other day, me and my girlfriend just said, "Oh, it would be nice if Keys and his mum got together."
Yeah, I think
that was.
They went with
But
that,
then you could have had that even in the film when at the end, when the last shot,
I think the suggestion
you could see him hold hands as
yeah.
he goes away,
and he hasn't gone to Mexico with Sally, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, this was like waking up morning after at Glastonbury. Look at this.
Where's my tent gone?
Oh God! Everyone went home without me. Oh.
This is where, because he goes back home. He's been reported missing, and then E.T.'s disappeared. But E.T.'s in the water, isn't he? He's all ill. He's all shriveled up
in the sort of stream.
He's lost all his colour.
And as kids, we thought he died. We didn't get our heads round. We just thought he had pneumonia and he died.
Yeah,
which I suppose is sort of what is happening.
Because I was watching it thinking, wait a minute, why has he come back to life? I mean, because is it sort of a hibernation thing he's got to protect himself?
I think just the warmth of Elliot's message and the fact that his family and pals were returning. The original speak and spell communication device worked. We just don't know it yet. So I think his heart swelled into life again when they're coming back. Because Elliot says, "Does this mean they're coming?"
Yeah.
I love that whole scene. She plays that whole scene, and he's there, and she knows it, but she hasn't told the others.
Yeah.
That Spielberg is clever with little moments like that, where one character's already ahead of the moment.
That makes it, but actually, that does make it a little bit cheesy. That it's like the warmth of Elliot and the love for him.
I like it's not that. It's the fact his mates are coming back.
Yeah, I like the idea.
He's getting signal again. It's like, it's fine, they're okay.
I've got one bar.
Yeah, I got one bar. Whew, I don't need to die and be lobotomized by Californian scientists.
I love it, because the brother catches on that he's being followed, isn't he? So he tries to sort of cut through the back streets, as it were.
I love this it's a real crate on the front of the bike. It's not a basket. We always assume it's like a proper nice wicker basket with sort of tassels, but it's not. It's just a plastic crate.
It's got to fit all those giant pints of milk. That's why.
And this, I mean, if you've heard of a thing called BMX bike, it is because of this film. This film just pushed BMX bike sales through the roof. So much so that a year later, there's an Australian film called BMX Bandits with Nicole Kidman. And basically, she's like a Frizzy's accident waiting to happen with this massive mane of curly ginger hair. But yeah, BMX became a buzzword and a thing, so much so that the bikes from E.T. spawned their own Australian film. And there's another film called it's got lots of titles. I think its UK title is The Go Kids.
Oh yes,
and it's called Frog Dreaming. And it's got some other titles, The Quest for something, and it's Henry Thomas and basically some Australian film producer got enough money together to drag sort of Henry Thomas, age 14 or 15, over, and it's trying to be a sort of Goonies, E.T. mystery cash-in hybrid. Although Brian May did the score, not Queen guy, but the guy that did Mad Max scores. He does the score, and it's a real terrible film, but it's a great 80s video bottom shelf movie with a real cheesy poster reflecting none of the lack of drama that's actually in the film.
He also, I mean, because it showed you earlier on that the plant slightly began to wither.
Yes.
So it knows that we kind of close up that E.T. is kind of essentially dying, getting very ill.
He's certainly fading within our atmosphere.
Yeah. I suppose eating all that food and it's probably made him ill. To be honest,
he's just like highly allergic to Reese's Pieces.
He hasn't been to the toilet either.
Oh, I love this scene, and I love. Again, John Williams goes back to that Pendericky church organ gothic chill.
It's like it's made of fag ash. Costs a lot of coffee. No, I don't know who drinks massive mugs of coffee like that.
Americans, Californians in the early 80s. That's who. That's well played, Dee Wallace. Because she's now thinking of the ramifications of disease, and she knows it's not of this earth. But I'm going to protect my kids. I'll ignore the fact that they're fine, and it's. Ooh, I find this scene horrible. I did warn you, this film's got a lot of emotional resonance for me.
This bit's
Thank
weird.
God it's no visuals.
You got the bloke's wearing the astronauts.
Hand fan.
You got the astronauts standing up.
Yeah,
it's a bit weird.
It's like we don't have any sort of interplanetary protection. We'll just use some space shuttle suits that we use for moonwalks. I suppose they're just faceless. I mean, there's a sort of almost Vader.
Usually
they've realised that faceless creatures,
and they're kind of walking towards him like we're zombies.
And suddenly, suddenly all the Close Encounters toys starts. Like, oh my God, who brought the Close Encounters toys? Everything's kicking off now. It's the same train set from Close Encounters.
These outfits kind of make a bit more sense what they would probably wear, but just walking in is
and the sort of building
spacewalking outfits,
building a hamster gerbil house or something with all these sort of little tubes.
Yeah.
No, this is the original cut because we would have had the horrible bath scene by now.
Yes,
with E.T. and a CGI alien. Elliot and an alien pissing about in a matey's bubble bath. And if that wouldn't fuck your mind up, I don't know what it is.
Is that it?
Oh, it's the humanity of this film, the benevolence of it. That E.T.'s not kicking off, he's not screaming, he's just reaching out.
wants help.
Yeah.
doesn't he? Yeah.
I don't know if anyone
That's why
could do it.
That's why you feel for him. So much,
Absolutely.
That's why audiences, kids latched onto him and just wanted an ET for themselves.
And I did. And there was always these cool leather type ET plush toys that were really expensive, but already markets were doing like dodgy knockoffs. And I remember getting a dodgy knockoff. Yeah, like it was all falling apart, and the eye was probably banned in 7 continents. It was like all these sort of plastic bits on it. We get it. He's got a big packet. I think if he was in a San Francisco gay bar at this time, those keys probably mean he's into all sorts. The codification here.
It's like this sort of look they have in films when their house has been fumigated. It's got lots of bugs everywhere. Why don't we get rid of this?
Looks like a piece of art. I think it's Christoph, the guy that used to sort of dress big buildings in blankets.
This is a moment they should have had John Landis as a cameo, because John Landis always cameoed in sort of Sam Raimi movies. The surgeon,
Frank Oz,
Frank Oz in Superman 3. He deleted scene.
They got a lot of real nurses and medics for these scenes. Just to give the sort of rituals of.
Oh, what about the guys from MASH?
Yeah, Klinger turns up in drag. I got the blood samples you wanted.
Bit of Spectrum graphics there. Nice tubing. It's like Bishop's guts.
I'm sure that lounge wasn't that big originally.
No.
And I think Drew Barrymore utterly lost her shit on this scene because
she'd
sort of bonded with because when you're a kid you do believe it, despite all the wires and puppetry that she would have seen, but she really lost it, I think, and they kept the take in.
I think it's where Wood always said he kind of felt bad when they do cry, because he needs to get the performance out of them, but they are literally upset on camera, and you always got to be aware of the parents as well, because they'll be on set.
You do play a few tricks. I've been on a few sets. I've written. In fact, the kid from the Yellow Pages ad was in a film that I wrote, and he was. But the parents get it. Most kids are not. If you're a kid on set, you get the best treatment because you're there for the shortest amount of time, and you get the best attention. By law, you have to as well. And Henry Thomas he never really disappeared. Perhaps he didn't have the parts in his 20s or so, but he did Legends of the Falls with Brad Pitt, where Brenda Blethyn played his mother, I believe.
Yeah, because I was scanning through IMDb the other day, and I was like, where has he been in?
He's in a great new Netflix series, which I recommend to everyone, called The Haunting of Hill House, which is a real old classical haunted house caper based on the original novel that Stephen King has tweeted recently saying he thinks it's a work of genius.
Wow.
And it's a great production. I really, really liked it. And Henry Thomas is really good in it. He plays the father of 5 kids in the early 80s, oddly. And then Timothy Hutton plays him in the more contemporary version.
This is the moment, isn't it? Because me and Mark, I think I discussed earlier on, there was that this was kind of the older version of Elliot.
Yeah, I think there's that sort of. I often think Elliot is. I see parallels with Roy Neary in Close Encounters. It's almost like they're two sides of the same nickel. But yeah, because Peter Coyote's saying he came to me too, and I always wonder what he came to you in your childhood, or has he come to you in this visit to sort of help your knowledge and your understanding of outer worldly things?
Yeah. Because it could have, maybe subtly implies that he had E.T. or one of his kind had visited before. Because when they had landed, they'd obviously turned up, and then they sort of.
That's right. That's true. They're wise to it. Then, but then maybe all the radars and all of that, and perhaps a TWA 517 plane. Do you want to report a UFO over? Sorry, different film. Mashing up my Spielberg UFO movies now.
I mean, this bit kind of upset me as a kid. Just sitting there being ill from primary school and just watching this bit and going, oh. Because he's, even though you kind of, you know what's going to happen, he's just like, well, he still gets you that he's essentially going to die for a short period of time. He's resurrected like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whole New Testament or Old Testament reading of E.T. where he's found in the shed, like I said, with Mary, the mother, and then he's resurrected at the end and is taken on a bike to Calvary. I don't know if it's John Williams' finest score. At the moment, maybe because it's the 40th anniversary, but I'm beginning to feel that Superman the movie is his finest work. But this is certainly up there. I think I always class the three best Williams scores are Empire Strikes Back, E.T. and Superman. Just such rich works, not just the theme and the.
Do you think we're biased, Mark? Because I say Superman,
biased.
but
I think there's a brilliant collection of themes in Superman the movie.
Yeah.
He scores childhood brilliantly in that film, as he obviously does in E.T.
The avant-garde stuff with Krypton and the Fortress is just a different level of music compared to Star Wars.
Yeah, and that whole the Forest of Ender, the Fortress of Solitude cue that he does for that film it's become some sort of I don't know, sort of smoky interplanetary opera.
And a bit also Schindler's List as well it's the one Williams score that makes me just cry like a baby.
Yeah, there's a different agenda there.
Yeah,
it has to be historical, and it's obviously reflecting the Jewish tragedy and viciousness of that whole film.
I mean, for E.T., it's that big moment though when they're on the bikes, which is what everyone remembers.
That 9-minute track.
Yeah, but as a whole piece, I think there's clearly more with, say, Superman and Empire, where you're just like, whoa, there's another big memorable piece of music which kind of just sucks you in. This is obviously a little bit more subtle in areas, and it works wonderfully. But he's done so many good scores. You always feel like you're doing a disservice not to mention another one.
Yeah, you're sort of going through. Like, I love Jane Eyre, which is the TV movie he did, which is sort of echoing what he ends up doing with the Rey theme in Force Awakens.
I quite like Witches of Eastwick.
Yeah, Witches of Eastwick's are great, and Accidental Tourist as well.
And Hook. I fucking love Hook.
Yeah,
that's that makes me cry, and it makes me happy as well. We're just sort of the end theme, or when he becomes Peter Pan again. I love that bit.
Oh, you are the Pan.
Yeah, you are the Pan.
You the Pan. Good little acting here from Henry Thomas.
His mum instantly hugs her.
As I say, watch the audition tape because he's actually more emotional in the audition than he ever is in the final film.
I think I got Drew when she's just like,
has everyone got a rap? I really need a little pick me up right now. Sorry, Drew Barrymore. Other Drew Barrymores are available. And this sequence is coming out, which is the definitive movement of the whole film. That 9-minute sequence that John Williams scores with the bikes are sort of powering the violins and vice versa.
That's right.
The strings are sort of taking it to a crescendo. And I love also that, like we said earlier, that these older pals of Michael's are not being that cynical. They're not kicking off. They're quite ready for the game in hand. They're sort of putting on their glasses and readying their headphones.
And it also shows that they're really good mates to him, because as soon as he says, I need your help, get the bikes, they go do it straight away.
And we did, and that was something that I guess, without sounding an old man looking back here, but there was a real get the bikes culture when we were kids in the early 80s. Yeah. There was. You were able to stay out later. I lived in a back in the day, I lived in a place that was very similar, not as built up, but we would be able to cycle our bikes out like Poltergeist or E.T. and stay out late, and we would tour about and cycle about. Yeah. And you do have that. I'm not going to say we don't have that anymore, but obviously times change and traffic changes.
I just love just going to my mates, cycle to your friend's house at like top speed, just dump your bike outside the front of their house, just lob it, and just go in the house and play some video games, or whatever. Then you come out and it'll still be there.
Yeah, Stranger Things gets
no
that
one would
quite
nick
well.
it.
Stranger Things, there's the whole Stranger Things is basically them dumping bikes on curbs and racing indoors. And people look at that didn't happen. Yes, it did happen.
It did. Yeah.
I'd never thought, but Peter Coyote's a little bit of a looker. I'm sorry, late in the day to go there, but he's.
What else has he been in? What else? Because I was trying to think if he was like an actor that had been kind of like been around for a while. Spielberg said, let's put him in to be the.
Was he in Jagged Edge? Possibly. Random one.
He looks a little bit like Eric Roberts, a little bit.
Yes,
a young Eric Roberts.
And Eric Roberts back in his day was quite a looker as well. I believe you've met him in recent times. And he's got a ball of fun energy still.
Yeah, on the interview, I think there's a little bit at the end where he talks about the Bear Grylls Island. Right. Just for us, because he was on that show. Okay. He's got dumped on that island with all these people, and he's just like, didn't know what to do.
That's funny. Eric Roberts, not Peter Coyote.
Eric Roberts, yeah. Put him in a time machine or something.
It was a big thing actually in the early 80s. I remember it with the space shuttle, but I think that's partly why the astronauts are wearing their sort of spacewalk outfits, because that's what we knew as space and science and the future. So we had all this kit. It was all over all the broadcasts of space shuttles and Houston and NASA.
It fits visually, but doesn't sometimes it inherently doesn't really make sense when they would wear that. You would be like when in the film Outbreak, where they got that gear on. But there's been a viral contagion, kind of it was escaped, and you'd wear that sort of gear, but you wouldn't want to run around in a space outfit.
Yeah, and they're also being a bit. What if an alien, when it dies and starts decomposing, releases a poisonous gas that's toxic to humanity? It's like keep your masks on. Doctor Who does that a lot. It's like, don't take the mask off just yet. One word: spores.
Spores. Yeah. Have you seen Alien Covenant?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, don't let your guard
go right up your nose.
I think this is a beautifully written scene. I think it's one of the. It's very saccharine. It's very sentimental, but it holds back just about. And Melissa Matheson gives great dignity and poetry to this sort of exchange here, and it's quite a long for a kid as well. And at this junction in the film, it's like, is the film over? Are we in the, when you first watched it, what happens now? It's like a 10-minute morning. Slowly the end credits will roll.
I do kind of feel that, as you mentioned earlier, you were sort of like giving your sort of theory how he comes back to life. I still don't think Spielberg had a real clear, like, how are we going to get from this scene to that scene without it being a little bit kind of contrived in a way, like he's just resurrected. I just thought that it's this kind of sort of sense of hibernation he's put himself in to sort of...
That, yeah. But when the ship abandons him right at the beginning, his heart sort of, the glow disappears.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So maybe it's almost like, I keep joking about Wi-Fi, but it is almost he's within range, it's okay, he's alive.
Yeah. I think you're right. It's just as simple as that. I think the more you sort of analyse a scene, you end up just sort of just digging yourself a big hole.
Yeah.
Going, no.
It's a film about childhood. It's fine. You don't have to explain. In fact, I joke, but Spielberg, when he does his films about childhood, there's a lot of poetic license you have, I think, in films about childhood. You can get away with a lot because they're kids. But I do feel I think this film is a really astute, clever Hollywood early 80s look at childhood. But I think it's about the end of childhood when Elliot looks at the sky. He's facing adolescence and adulthood now.
This is kind of like the movie he would do before Raiders, you know what I mean? But Raiders is kind of like the more grown-up Spielberg, and then this is kind of the more childlike.
Well, this was like the filling in his Indiana Jones bagel, wasn't it? Other Jewish references are available. That's sort of the mid.
You know, because it's like him saying goodbye to his childhood. Now he's going to be a little bit more grown up, and then it's sort of like goodbye to the 80s with Crusade. But then there's kind of a little bit of that with Hook, and I don't know.
You sort of almost feel as well, I wonder if one of the best things that happened to E.T., the film, is 1941. Had Spielberg had a massive hit with that, or another film, between Close Encounters and I just think that little folly that is 1941 feeds into Raiders and E.T. It puts some brakes on it a bit. I think E.T. came under budget and under time or something. Or was that might have been Raiders?
Raiders did. That was the deal, that he had to be on time and under budget.
Follied it out.
Yeah, because 41 was just so pricey.
And that is still a Spielberg film I have real problems getting through. I tried to watch it recently, and I'm like, I can feel my other half just losing it, and the best bit is the last 20 minutes, but it takes a long time getting there. I love Drew Barrymore, and their insistence in getting the line out in these scenes. She's just like,
I love the bit when she's in the car and she's just like,
"We're going to the spaceship in the moon," and she's like, "Not now, Gertie."
She like pushes her back.
Yeah, she's like, "Shut up." We can or cannot. We probably shouldn't read too much into it, but it's like you've got almost like the grim fairy tale Red Riding Hood with Red Riding Hoodie.
Yeah.
I love the way he's like the older brother. He's like, "Hurry up! Just what are you waiting for?"
Elliot's voice is really high pitched, isn't it? When he starts screaming.
Oh, I'm gonna die and I'm gonna lose my license. Sorry, I just love that. Quick, he's got a walkie-talkie. You don't know they
lethal.
They are lethal. They will become the weapon of choice in a recut of this movie.
Well, this is what, because when obviously with South Park with their sort of spoofing and being Trey Parker and Matt Stone being very upset with the idea that Lucas was going to add more to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
And they obviously did the episode where they took the piss out of it, and it was terrible, and there's Raiders with Ewoks in it and stuff, and Spielberg basically wrote them a letter saying, now I've become a character of South Park. And that basically put the brakes on doing that at all. So we have to sort of thank those guys for stopping Spielberg from doing that. But throughout that episode, you had trailers for the re-release of Saving Private Ryan, with the guns that are being replaced with walkie-talkies.
Right.
Thanks to E.T.
Yeah, it's like, what did they do to Schindler's List? No, we won't go there. It's still too soon. That film's 25 years old now.
Yeah, a bit re-released this month.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's... I'm sure it's probably playing it like the Picture House or something like that, or the Prince Charles. I mean, it's a film I want to... It's such a great movie, but it's tough to watch because it's so depressing and upsetting. So you don't want to say, "Hey, it's Friday night. You don't watch Schindler's List."
But it is a beautiful piece of cinema, which sort of takes over a bit.
Yeah.
The drive of the cinema takes over the moral outrage of it. Just about. I mean, he balances it well.
Oh my God!
Oh my God, he's going to the set of the forest in the studio.
He's going to Endor. I think that would have been quite fun to do, actually, doing that. I think that's why the guys are pissed off. We've taken it off because they've been quite enjoying it. It's like the big, like the Queen's egg laying thing in Aliens, isn't it? It's the big sack.
It is now.
Yeah.
I didn't, yeah, that sort of fallopian tube motif. Now, I saw these fans online, they'll go to the locations and take sort of before and after photos. And they call them jungle gyms, I think, in America. The sort of playground, play park kit here is still there.
Really?
That yellow caterpillar is still there. It might have had a bit of paint since, but I'm sure, well, recently it was still there.
That is a bit Christ-like, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think...
He looks like one of the Quaids a little bit.
This one?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, he was Thomas C. Howell, then he became C. Thomas Howell. He sort of swapped about a bit. He was great in The Outsiders, and he did a slightly sort of ethnically dubious film called Soul Man.
I've heard of that.
Which is about a kid that blacks up or wakes up blacked up and goes to school. So it's like Teen Wolf with race. It's all a bit...
That's a bit...
It's, yeah. It was, I wouldn't say a hit, but it was a film that was everywhere for its brief window. And this is where I think
it's ice.
Close Encounters, but particularly it's like a grand suburban opera. And this is its final act, or whatever the opera...
The bit here, the music
jingo
here,
is, yeah. And it's the... And I have been fortunate enough to hear this performed live at Albert Hall and by good orchestras, not the Eastbourne Symphony.
It's the London Philharmonic.
Yeah.
I've heard, yeah. They're always amazing.
And this, unlike perhaps the theme to Superman or some of the movements of Williams, this particular piece is hard to screw up. I'm sure there's some bands that have done it.
I've heard things like when they do like a whole mix of different themes, when they do something like by Hans Zimmer, like The Gladiator, doesn't sound right at all because so much is manipulated in the computer.
Yeah.
I was like, it doesn't sound right.
Scores aren't allowed to breathe as scores now. You don't, let's say you don't have those signature themes. You wouldn't get an E.T. and Me or a Adventures on Earth sort of track in a film now that just plays out in its entirety. I don't think you...
They should have had a great little Blues Brothers moment in this. The cars just thundering through houses.
Nothing's finished as well.
It's Poltergeist house, isn't it?
Yeah. But sort of new builds. Maybe that's why they were like, you can film there with a bit more carte blanche because you're not going to upset people or have onlookers.
I'm sure some of the when you saw some of the kids on the bikes, it sort of kind of morphs into a stunt man.
How dare you? Yeah, no, you're right. In fact, there's one of Elliot,
like a grown man on the bike.
Yeah, he's sort of. Why is Elliot suddenly 8 foot?
Built like a brick shit
and
house.
You just know that those, I don't know, the sort of Tony Hawks of BMX worlds were phoned up for these sequels.
Like that would have been probably.
Yeah, that's not Henry
that's
Thomas.
Not, no.
His shoulders are too manly. It's a film that celebrates cinema. The film does, but this sequence just celebrates what you can do with cinema, how it can uplift, and how an edit can change.
It doesn't have to be a big special effects extravaganza moment. It's just kids running away from people on bikes.
No, and those yellow lines that are so predominant in particularly Close Encounters. It's curious that they're going along a yellow line when they take off here. I love it.
That's a quick weird little.
Oh my god! They've replaced the walkie-talkies with rifles. That's so dangerous.
I love when one of the kids wearing like a flat cap, you know.
And perhaps, they all look like slightly they're on the ground here.
Yeah.
The camera's rotoscoping around them.
Actually, some of them actually look like miniatures because their legs look a bit robotic. When they're moving. Yeah, they look a bit stiff. Like Thunderbird marionettes.
I mean, it's ultimately a very small film, despite its big...
it is. Yeah, it's a small, very intimate kind of movie.
If you look at it, it's possibly Spielberg's smallest film. I mean, you got Jules. Jules, a small film, Something Evil. I think The Post is actually quite a small film, despite its bigger connotations.
because this focuses on a very small amount of locations.
Yes.
You know, so that's what gives it. That's what makes it feel smaller than you'd.
It's like
think.
Poltergeist. Poltergeist doesn't take place much beyond the house.
No,
And likewise,
no.
this one. I mean, we go outside a lot more, obviously.
But because of how it's shot in terms of its kind of CinemaScope format and the big effects in Poltergeist, it feels a somewhat bigger movie, more of a sort of suppose spectacle. But this is like Close Encounters. It gives you a big moment at the end where you've got. I mean, we've had a little taste of Elliot flying on the bike, but we see all the kids now, and then we see the ship come, and then. But it's still, you know, it's not like a Close Encounters kind of sequence where you're watching something happen for a while. This is all kind of done a little bit more low key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a simple film. I think.
Yeah,
very simple. Ralph Mcquarrie was, I think, involved in the mothership design here. The Star Wars sort of design consultant. I think he came up with the bauble, the ball motif.
like disco ball.
Yeah, and there's still, I think, the original model of that's still the foyer of Amblin.
I love in a minute when you see the dog turns up with the mother, and the dog wants to get up into the ship.
He goes,
like,
no,
get back here.
fuck that.
You know, it's just like, no, I'll come back down.
There could be a sequel. I've had such a good time. I want to be in the sequel.
I love how his neck grows longer
Yeah.
just for him. You know, to be near his level.
And they haven't touched yet.
No, they haven't.
And that's what E.T.'s alluding to. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're touching me, and that's cool.
Yeah. Bernard, come on.
Yeah. Mum, I'm sorry. I'll explain.
The music here is just incredible, isn't it? When it goes dun 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 and it stops.
Yeah,
and then it goes
for a small film. It's a massive score suddenly. Yeah,
yeah. That's what, you know, like Alan Silvestri made Back to the Future for like a bigger movie with his score. You know.
it's pitched so well, this film, and obviously this scene that Spielberg, it gets to the crux of it. It gets to the point of an emotion, and this is about suddenly it's about bereavement.
Yeah,
and the boy that lost his father is now losing his sort of alien father figure, with the scope of going with him. But I just feel he's an adult now, Elliot. He's an adult.
Yeah.
He's making the choice of no, I'll stay. It's quite an adult gesture or thought to no, I'm not going to join you. I can't. He knows why he can't.
yeah. You get bored of ET anyway. You get stuck with him about 2 weeks. You'll be like, oh, I'm so
All those
bored.
plants to keep watering. It was just
Yeah.
no.
Oh, look at her. She's generally crying.
She doesn't
now.
know. It's like, are we finished?
yeah.
Is this the rap party?
Yeah. With that sort of lighting as well from behind, it does also kind of feel like it's a Christmas movie. You know,
Yeah.
it sort of fits in with that. I mean, it's also kind of, you know, because it's sort of guys on their bikes, you know, bombing around. It feels like a summer kind of vibe to it.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
but
It,
I
well,
don't
it is a summer movie, but
Mm.
although we got it at Christmas,
Yeah.
so
I think it's just like, you know, things, colours that you kind of recognise and think, yeah, that's the sort of, you know, thing you saw at Christmas.
And again, E.T., Elliot in the red hoodie
Mm.
was everywhere. Was in every magazine. Was in every lunchbox. Viewmaster. I remember the Viewmasters being really predominant. They were these little plastic red
I've got those
glasses that you'd put a spherical disc in and would look at them, and there'd be
I've got one with like loads of random like things of the year.
Yeah,
from
they would do
83.
random ones.
From 1983, but one of them has Chris Reeve jumping on the car.
Oh, okay, that's not a
Superman
bad one.
3.
What, are they movie ones? Or just...
Yeah, movie
Oh,
photo,
okay,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, it's a really cool photo.
I had the Muppet movie.
Oh, did you?
And Mary Poppins.
Ollie, Ollie Harper. My theme tune.
Okay, we get it. The door's closed. That's one cut too many.
Sort of cut to Monty Python. Just go, get on with it. You know?
That is nice.
That's really
the red
good,
heart
isn't
is
it?
the
Yeah.
last beat we see of him.
Did anyone sort of critics say, "Oh, you know, Spielberg, you're kind of repeating yourself here with things like Close Encounters"? Or
I think I'm not too up on. I think it did get a little bit of flack, and probably people did push him on it. But I think the box office and the
squashed anyone saying anything negative.
Yeah, and it was
put in that crowd. How dare you say anything bad against E.T.?
Well, it was event cinema, which we don't really get now. I'm trying to think the last big event, possibly Avatar or Lord of the Rings, but where it became a cultural moment, a sort of notch on the timeline of that year's culture or that decade's culture. And E.T. was a key defining moment of 80s pop culture, an American pop culture of, I'd say, the 20th century. I'm very biased towards it, but I think it's a vital work.
Oh, for sure.
And you know, obviously Frank Marshall produced it. I think this might have been the film where him and Kathy Kennedy started to get it on a bit. Oh, that might have been Raiders, because there was a great. She got the Thalberg recently at the Oscars, and Spielberg presented it. In fact, they both did, Frank Marshall and Kathy Kennedy. Yeah, and he didn't hold back in saying, "Yeah, I remember that time I walked in on both of you in my office, and you thought you had more time than you did." And they both went, "Oh my God, you remember that?" I mean, look at these names: Dennis Muir and Mike Fenton, Jane Feinberg. Dennis
Muir was always my favourite of the ILM bunch.
These were names. Jackie Carr, she's the one that dressed the sets. So she's probably responsible for all the minutiae, the ephemera, and she does the same for Poltergeist as well. But these names we would see, we knew these names. I knew these names more than I knew the names of my teachers. Gene Cantamessa, the sound mixer. I always remember that. I thought that was a great name.
Because as a kid, I was thinking, who's this Derek Meddings? Who's this Roy Field? Who's this
Derek
Meddings?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, who's these people? The names would pop up. Yeah. I think, oh my God. You know, Derek Meddings was really, because as a kid watching all those Thunderbirds repeats and Stingray and Captain Scarlet and seeing Bond and seeing Superman and then it's like, right, he gets everywhere. You know?
I've got a Derek Meddings story, but I'll tell you off camera.
Voice design. Oh, Ben Burt as well.
Yeah, it's
Hey Burt.
It's Colour Timer. Robert Rearing. No, I don't know Robert Rearing.
One of the best names I encountered was one of the stunt coordinators in, I think, many modern films called Joe Pancake.
Joe Pancake.
What a great name.
Flatlined. That's ILM were a thing by this point. I think it was maybe 81.
It was
they sort of got their act together.
The company obviously existed with Star Wars. But
camera operator, sorry, cutting there. Robert Elswit, he went on and shot Boogie Nights and Tomorrow Never Dies.
Really?
Yeah, he's
wow. ILM really became a big name with Empire. I think really.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, Conrad Buff. That name pops up a lot as well.
I think you pointed that out last time. Yeah,
he's an editor. I think he edited like T2 or things like that. Actually, it's quite a long credit list, actually. For a small movie. I think, actually, the credits were shorter on Close Encounters.
That's true, they were, yeah. But maybe the unions had unionised and everyone suddenly had to
maybe Douglas Trumbull was like, I'm doing all of it.
Yeah.
Get out of here. The medical unit.
Medical, yeah. Well, they all played.
Oh, yeah.
They all played themselves. Most of the paramedics.
Mary Stein.
Accent. I don't remember hearing that, but there's Elvis Costello track in the film. No, I think it's. I'd love to know what perhaps a 10 or 15-year-old think of it. They probably find it cheesy and and too much saccharine. But I there's an economy to this film as well. There's an economy of storytelling. I would say Close Encounters is Spielberg's finest work, but I think E.T. Comes a close second.
I mean, E.T. It's it deserves all the accolades it gets.
Yes.
And yeah, as you say, it can be a little bit cheesy and schmaltzy to some people, and to me for many years, because I kind of written it off for a while, because I don't know why. I think it was just kind of just like, oh, it's something of the past. It's a bit too cheesy. I prefer Spielberg's other kind of movies, and then you sort of look at it again, and when you're in the right frame of mind, and think, wow, it's still really powerful.
Yeah,
and it still
drag.
hits the notes.
It doesn't drag. That didn't.
No,
drag
it's
at
a
all.
very
It's always
efficiently
for it will.
edited.
Yeah,
it's
and edited incidentally by Carol Littleton. And I always think it's a curious thing. And one of my final things I'll say is that Star Wars, E.T., Gremlins, and I believe Ghostbusters have one thing in common, and Jaws. They're all edited by women. They're all put together by women, and that's not a thing. Of course, why wouldn't they be? But when you look at these classic films, and particularly Star Wars and Gremlins, you sort of just don't assume they would have.
It's a man's world.
It's
generally.
a man's world, or it's a boy's toy box. But that's so wrong. That's so wrong. And also, E.T. is a really important film in the timeline and genesis, for want of a better word, of Kathy Kennedy, who's now become a real force. Well, she always was, but she's become a real matriarchal force of American cinema. And she's had a lot of flack, wrongly and rudely, over the last year for all sorts. And people go, oh, she can't make films, I don't know what she's doing. Well, this is the woman that produced E.T., Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, and Alive. I think the woman knows what she's doing.
But also we have to think, like, even early days of Star Wars was George Lucas's wife. He kind of saved a lot of that. With her script changes and editing skills.
And Verna Fields, obviously in Jaws as well.
Yeah. Well, there you go, folks. Hope you enjoyed the commentary. Hope you all have a fantastic Christmas as well. And
phone home.
Yes. Me and Mark should be back for some more commentaries in the new year.
Take care.
Take care, everyone.